Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to CCRL Pro Tier. Tonight, they are taking on the 5.418 kilometer circuit with 16 corners and 1 DRS zone. It's going to be a short qualifying 29 lap Grand Prix tonight. I am looking forward to the action that these folks will be bringing us. I am the Johnny Damon, and I hope you are all ready for the racing as well. Just gonna bring up the driver standings real quick. We got Feeney up at the top of the driver's standing with 101 points. Right behind him is Copa with 94. LB the GOAT is in third with 69 points. Silos in fourth with 67. Right behind him is Raptor KK with 65, rounding out the top five. Bongit in sixth with 50 points. Osmanian Devil in seventh with 48. Mr. Miller with 40 in 8th. Like Me or Not with 37 in 9th. LK in 10th with 29. You got Peak Hour with 28 points in 11th. Matthew with 21 points in 12th. Cello with 20 points in 13th. IRZ with 19 points. The Boonster 18 points in 15th. ARF with 17 points in 16th. The Natural has 17, or is in 17th with 16 points. GC Adventure with 10 points in 18th. SP in 19th with 9 points, and TMM Racing with 4 points in 20th. We do have a full grid tonight for the Grand Prix, so I look forward to seeing what's going to happen here. Jump on board, always Osmanian Devil, the first one out onto the circuit, as he's exiting pit lane. And in the meantime, we're going to pull up the constructor standings, and I can't see the image. Oh, now I can see it. Haas will lead your constructors with 129 points. Right behind him is the Aston Martin with 113. Then we got the McLarens with 98 points. Mercedes with 87 in 4th. Red Bull with 86 in 5th. Visa Cash App Red Bull is in 6th place with 75 points. Alpine with 56 in 7th. Kick Sauber is got 55 points in 8th. Ferrari with 33 in 9th. And Williams with 30 points in 10th place. Currently, we are making our way through round 10. It's going to bring us right through turn 11 up into 12, 13, and 14. Flat out section here of the triple right-hander. Then it will carry us down into the high-speed left-hander of turn 15. Back towards the line, or towards the final corner, we are getting ready to start the first lap for Osmanian Devil in the McLaren. He's going to open up this DRS and comes across the line heading towards turn 1 to start his fast lap here in the qualifying session. All the way down into turn 1, going to brake just after the 50-meter board all the way into 4th gear. Lets the car slide all the way to the outside curb. Now through turn 2. Carrying as much speed as he can through a really fast double right-hander here at the top of turn 4 and 5. Looking pretty good so far through sector 1, keeping it within the track limits across the split with a 31.258. Off of turn 6, all of that exit curb off the exit of turn 6 up the hill into turn 7. Very easy to invalidate around here in Qatar, so he's doing pretty well keeping it within the white lines. Down into turn 10 we go. Making our way off of turn 10, we're now going to carry through turn 11 back up into the triple right-hander here of turn 12. Now 13 and then 14 right in front of him. He does have a Mercedes catching right up to the back of him. Not exactly sure who that may be. Think it is Silos as we're heading into turn 16. He's getting all the tow he can off the exit. Opens up the DRS flap in about 100 meters. Comes across the line to set a provisional pole and immediately topped by Silos. jumping on board with Natural as he's getting ready to start his first flying lap here in the qualifying session. He's going to come across the line and make his way towards turn 1. We got an Aston Martin. It looks like that might be not IRZ, but Copa off the exit of turn 16. He's going to open up the DRS flap down to 10% battery and puts himself in P2 with a 123.473. Copa was going for back-to-back wins last week. TMM Racing in P6. And then you got LB the GOAT comes across the line, jumps up into that P2 position. A lot of folks are coming across peak hour in P6 there. Jumping on board with Rapper KK, making his way through turn 14 now. He's going to carry as much speed as he can off the apex of turn 15. Uses all of the exit curve, barely keeps it within the track limits, and now heading in towards turn 16. Off the exit we go. 100 meters until that DRS flap wide open. Across the start-finish line we go, and he puts himself in the P8 position with a 124.7. Let's jump on board here with Patty Cake as he is back here in the Pro Tier, making his way through Sector 2. Comes across the Sector 2 split with a 59 flat into turn 13. Keeps it within the track limits so far here through the triple right-hander, nearly flat out there. Just lifts off the throttle, and wow, he somehow does not get an invalidation there off the exit of turn 15, making our way through the final corner. Heading towards the start-finish line. Where's Patty Cake going to put himself inside the top 5 with a 123.5? So a great lap by him to start. VPR Chef is making his way through Sector 3. Coming through turn 15. He's got one final corner right in front of him here. Let's see how he does into turn 16. All the way down into third gear. Back on the throttle. Lets the car swing all the way to the outside. Opens up that DRS flap. And he's going to come across the line with a 128.9. GC Adventure nets across the line with a 128.0. Mr. Miller's making his way through Sector 2 of turn 9 down into the braking zone of turn 10. In fourth gear, he goes a little wide there off the exit, comes through 11. Comes across Sector 2 split, 58.5 into the triple right-hander here. Barely keeps it within the track limits at Qatar. Very tough here off the exit of turn 15 we go. Now making our way towards the final corner. As long as he can keep it within the white lines, he barely does. He's going to open up that DRS flap, comes across the start-finish line, and he jumps all the way up into the P3 position, so a great lap by him. Beanie making his way through turn 2. He's the next one on the board without a time so far, and making his way up into turn 4 and 5. Now he's going to have the hairpin off the exit of 5. Into the braking zone of the hairpin. Brakes at about the 50 meters. Purple Sector 1 with a 30.958. He's carrying his speed all the way up into turn 7. Right on board with him through Sector 2. He's going to keep it. Uses all of the exit curve there. Now turn 9 into turn 10 we go. Down into 5th gear. Back on the throttle as soon as he hits that apex. He's got to carve the Aston Martin to the inside. Makes his way up into 12. Purple Sector 2. Now through 13. And then 14 we go. He's going to keep it within those track limits into turn 15. Riding on board. Using all of the track as he can to keep up his speed. Down into 4th gear for the final corner. Off the exit 100 meters until the DRS is wide open. Comes across the line and he gets a 122.8. So sitting up in that P2 position. So far we got Silos on provisional pole. SP's making his way through Sector 2. He got a Haas in front of him. I'm not exactly sure if he is on a lap. The Haas seems to be getting in his way here through the triple right-hander. Gets out of his way. Going into turn 13, 14. Now making his way towards the penultimate corner. Got one more corner to go, and we will see if he gets any improvement on his time. He was looking potentially dive into pit lane, and it's, oh yeah, I totally forgot. They changed the entrance to pit lane as well. Right off the exit of turn 16 is your pit lane. Let's check here. VPR Chef is going for another lap here as he's making his way down into turn 1. He does have a Red Bull right behind him. That is going to be LB the GOAT here through turn 1. Now into turn 2. Is he going to use all of that at the curb? He does indeed. Making his way through 3, back up into the double right-handed apex of 4 and 5. Saying he is currently on a hot lap, and he's going to get into the back of the Sauber of VPR Chef. Unfortunate for LB the GOAT with a 5-place grid penalty there. Here in the qualifying session, the Aston Martin of Comacopa making his way around the triple right-handed apex, now through 15. He's got 16 right in front of him. Burning all the battery he can. Down into the final corner. Off the exit we go. Keeps it within the track limits, opens up the DRS, comes across the start-finish line, and he puts himself up into P3 right behind Feeney. So he is trying to keep the competition very, very close here to start. See if we got anybody else on a lap. The Red Bull of Abdul making his way through the double apex right-hander here at the top of turn 4 and 5, down into the braking zone of the hairpin. Gonna be looking for a nice exit here, back on the throttle, carrying as much speed as he can up to the next hairpin of turn 7. Zigzagging through turns 8 and 9, down into turn 10. On the brakes into 4th gear, off the exit, and now he's gonna make his way up through the sector 2 line here. Keeps it within the track limits. He is unfortunately not improving, a 10th and a half down, dumping onto Bonget, and he dives into pit lane. Peak Hour is in pit lane. De Boonster making his way through, it looks like the double right hand apex here. Now into the hairpin of turn 6. He is running medium ERS. He does not want to forget to turn that hot lap on, as he's going to carry his speed through turn 7. Into the zigzags here of turn 8 and 9. And then he's going to make his way through turn 11. He's got turn 12, 13, and 14. Purple sector 2, nearly 3.5 tenths up. Where are you, Feeney? And we're going to come through the final corner, heading towards the start-finish line. Let's see if he gets any more improvement on his time. Comes across the start-finish line, and he puts himself all the way up into the P6 position. We got quite a bit of folks at the 123 flat, and Comacopa just sets 122.9. So pretty tight midfield here. Good opportunities for a DRS train to happen around the Qatar circuit. Onto the natural as he's making his way into the hairpin, all the way down into 3rd gear. Going to use all of the exit curb off of that hairpin, and makes his way up the hill into turn 7. Keeps it within the track limits once again. Through turn 9 we go, into the quick braking zone of turn 10. Now going to be looking to carry as much momentum he can through 11, up the hill again into 12. 2.5 tenths up for the natural with the purple sector 2 through turn 13, now 14. And he's going to make his way through turn 15. Heading towards the final corner here of turn 16, all the way down into 5th gear off the exit. Barely keeps it within track limits, not exactly sure. But he comes across the line and he jumps up into that P3 position with a 122.8. Silos did improve major on his time there at the top of the board with a 122.2. So he's nearly 6/10 of a second ahead of Feeney. IRZ making his way through turn, and it looked like he just went off the circuit there. Not exactly sure what may have happened. On board with Antonio as he's making his way towards the final corner here of turn 16, and it looks like he might be potentially out of fuel as he was full throttle, and it looks like he's going to head towards pit lane. Matthews giving the gravel traps a little bit of a I don't know what to say, a plow there through the gravel traps. GC Adventure making his way off the exit, and it looks like he's going to be slowing down to let the Williams of Matthew go right by him. Feeney looked like he was able to get back into the session, thankfully. On to LB the Goat making our way through turn 10. We're going to carry as much speed as we can up towards the triple right-hander, right on board with him throughout the rest of his lap here. Turns in just after the 50-meter board, now through turn 13 into turn 14. Off the exit he goes down into the really fast left-hander of turn 15. Got some traffic in front of him. Traffic gets right out of his way. He is going to get a little bit of a tow towards the line. Never mind. Comes across, opens up that DRS flap, and he does improve up into the P4 position, tightening up the grid here up in at the top. Abdul making his way through sector 2 all the way down into turn 10. Gonna be carrying his speed up the hill once again into the triple right-handed apex here. We got 2 minutes and 30 seconds left of qualifying, and we will have our starting grid. Goes really wide, and unfortunately is gonna invalidate there. Hopefully not commentator's curse. I am sorry about that. Feeney has started his lap, making his way through sector 2 here as we're taking our speed down into turn 10. Off the exit we go. See what he's got for improvement as he comes across the sector 2 split. He is only 1/10 up into the triple right-hander here. Not enough for pole position quite yet. Off the exit of turn 14, now into 15 we go. One more corner. Let's follow his run into the turn. All the way down into 5th gear. Down on the throttle early. Opens up the DRS flap, and he does improve. And enough for that P2 position. Still nearly a half a second separating pole to P2. Osmanian Devil making his way in towards the final corner. Is he going to be able to get himself inside the top 10? Off the exit, opens up that DRS flap. Cross the line, he did improve on his time, but not enough to move up the table. Raptor comes across the line and jumps up into that P10 position. Peak Hours making his way towards turn 16, down into 4th gear. Less than a minute to go here in qualifying. Peak Hours making his way towards the line, and he's up into the P13 position. He did improve on his time there. Antonio heading towards turn 7 here at the top of the hill. Now he's going to make his run through turn 9, into 10 we go. Quick braking all the way down into 4th gear. Off the exit, uses all of the exit curb there. Tuck that car back to the inside. Makes his way through the sector 2 split. He's nearly 4/10 up on his time. Heading around turn 13 into 14 we go. Is he going to keep it within the limits? Yes, he does. The Alpine pulls off to the inside to let him through. Making his way into the final corner, down into 5th gear we go. Off the exit, gonna get back on that throttle, open up that DRS flap. Comes across the line, and he moves up into the P15 position. A half a second of improvement there. We got a Red Bull that it looks like he wants to jump into pit lane. Feeney, unfortunately, has invalidated. Silos is still up at the top, riding on board with Peak Hour here as he's making his way. Looks like he is not on a lap for the time being. Patty Cake through 9 into turn 10 we go. Going to be looking for a great exit off of 10 through 11. Let's see where he is at the sector 2 split. He's only a thousandth up on his time. LB the GOAT is currently in pit lane. Where were we though? Patty Cake now through 15. One more corner to go. Off the exit we go. Is he going to be able to improve enough to come across this line and get up further in the grid order? And unfortunately was not able to improve on his time. Feeney does not have time for a lap, and Silos is backed out of his lap. So there you have it, folks. We have our qualifying grid nearly a half a second separating the top two, but the remainder of the grid is relatively close. You got Feeney in second with Comacopa right behind him by 28 thousandths of a second. And you got Mr. Miller by 45 thousandths of a second in P4. Less than a tenth back to natural. 400ths of a second to LB the GOAT in sixth. Then you have Jabur here in seventh with a just over a tenth to Boonster, less than, or he's 200ths off. And then Patty Cake less than a tenth off of the Boonster. Raptor KK rounds out your top 10, 8 thousandths of a second separating him and Patty Cake. Bonga in 11th, Osmanian Devil in 12th. Peak Hour will sit back here in 13th. Abdul 14th. IRZ is in 15th. Antonio 16th. Matthew 17th. GC Adventure 18th. TMM Racing 19th. And VPR Chef will round out your grid here in P20. Alright, so it's going to be about 3 minutes to get everybody to put their strategies in, and their fuel, it's very heavy fuel burning around Qatar, high downforce. It's all about the speed and keeping it within the track limits here at Qatar. So just a few minutes and I'll be right back with you momentarily. Alright, so just a few moments until we get started. Excuse me there for a moment. 29 laps around this wonderful circuit of track limits here at Qatar. Very easy to hit your track limits, so hopefully we can get as many folks as they can to keep it inside of the track limits here of the white lines, and we will have a race not only for victory but the least amount of track limit warning or track limit pens. Formation lap is on once again. We have gotten the ready to go. Unfortunately, after last week, Comacopa did not take the victory at Silverstone. He did have a post-race penalty, and so the win went to Jay Feeney here in the Haas. But looking at the tires, everybody wants to start on the medium tires here at Qatar, as we're all making our way through turn one here under the formation lap. You got your Alpine sitting in P4 and 5. So we got, it looked like Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon. Let's see how the teamwork works for these guys here. Hopefully they're not as disastrous as the IRL Alpine team. Bonnet in 10th with his teammate right behind in 12th. Osmanian Devil is going to be looking to jump. That'll be the go off the start to hopefully get the advantage down into turn one and defend for Bonnet to at least get some points. As we all make our way through Sector 2 here. And Silos just magically just drives away from the field. He's hoping to get those tires warm and keep them warm when he parks that car on the grid. The Boonster has backed up the grid to let the folks in front of him get some colder tires on the start grid here. We're all currently coming around into the final corner of turn 16, parking our cars on the start-finish grid. Much further down the line than the start-finish line. They moved that backwards, and the pit entrance is now off the exit of turn 16 instead of before the entrance of turn 16. Gonna ride on board with Comacopa here. Antonio, unfortunately, DSQ'd for parking, Patty Cake as well, and GC Adventure. Everybody is on the grid. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights, and the lights are out, and away we go off to the races. And it looks like Silos got a fantastic jump at the top of the grid. Heading down into turn one we go, following back with the middle of the grid. McLaren goes around. It looks like that maybe Bonget gets a little bit sideways there through turn one. Everybody coming nice and smooth through turn two, back up to the front of the grid as Silos has just taken off already, opened up a half a second lead over Feeney. Got a nearly 8/10 of a second over Comacopa here. Jump down onto LB the Goat, who's inside the top 10, peeking down to the inside of Patty Cake through turn 6 as we're making our way up into turn 7. Gonna fall right back behind, and it looks like a little bit further behind. We had a spin in the background, and that is the Visa Cash App Red Bull of GC Adventure. up into the front. Nobody has changed any position through your top three. Mr. Miller's putting the pressure on Komakopa though. Off the exit of 14 into 15 we go. Heading towards, and it looks like Mr. Miller might potentially get a warning there as he went a little wide through turn 15. DRS is going to be activated this time, but they won't get the DRS until the very next lap. Meanwhile, the booster down to the inside of Raptor KK, and he's looking to jump position, as well as SP as well. Raptor KK is going to hang it around the outside of turn 1, and is he going to be able to defend off the booster through turn 2, and it looks like the booster went a little wide, and here comes the Ferrari of Patty Cake. We got nearly 3 wide, taking out some number boards there on the outside of the circuit, and it looks like LB the GOAT is going to slide right through into that P9 position. Ferrari's looking to defend off Osmanian Devil around the outside of turn 6. Back up the hill into 7 we go. And Abdul, unfortunately, has already retired from the session. And Patty Cake has gone around off the exit of turn 6, heading up the hill towards 7. On board with Raptor KK as he is currently under pressure from Natural. Silos is still hanging on up in the front, trying to break that DRS toe to Feeney. Mr. Miller 2/10 off the back of Komakopa heading into the final corner of turn 16. Looking to come across the line. He's going to open up this DRS flap in about 100 meters. He's got it wide open now, making a run down towards turn 1. Feeney is closing up to the back of Silos, down to the inside into turn 1. Side by side we go, battling for the lead. And it looks like Feeney may, yes he does take over the lead at the time. Mr. Miller jumped into that P3 position over Komakopa. Komakopa now under attack. Looks like from Sergeant Williams of FP Jabor. And here comes SP into that P4 position, slides himself up. Komakopa is going the wrong way here at the start of the Grand Prix. He's got Natural putting the pressure on him into turn 6. Off the exit, Natural is still on that rear diffuser of the Aston Martin in front of him, going into 7. And it looks like Komakopa is finally starting to settle himself in, but this Alpine does not want to let him go lightly. Down into turn 10, he's not close enough to attempt a move down into the inside. Off the exit and heading back up into the triple right-hander. Is SP going to attempt a move? No, he is not. He's going to continue to fall behind and just follow along. Patty Cake does get by VPR Chef here, down in the P18. The booster with a first track limit penalty. Silos hanging on to Feeney, nearly 7/10 back. He's going to get the DRS down the start, finish straight. Opens it up, making his way. Is he going to close up enough? Here's the back of Feeney into turn 1. Mr. Miller with a fastest lap of a 126.2. Missing the DRS by 0.2 of a second there. And it looks like Feeney's going to hang on for the lead for another lap. Komakopa was not able to make a move, but Natural in the Alpine still has not given any separation. De Boonster hanging on to within a second in front. LB the GOAT is caught up to the back of this train. Osmanian Devils looking to pull the train with him up to the back of the GOAT in the Red Bull. Now making our way down into turn 6. Everybody else here inside the top 10 inside the top 10, just hoping Komakopa can find 0.3 here to close up that gap back into a DRS train here with the front runners. Silos hanging on to the back of Feeney, just barely though. He's at 0.9 of a second back. Nearly 0.8 into turn 13 we go. Off the exit of 13, now 14. Through the flat out section. The boosters all over that rear diffuser of Natural, making their way into 15. Looks like GC Adventures really struggling in the back. Raptor KK with a 3-second time penalty. And time penalties are already rolling in on the start of the Grand Prix. Silos is looking to close up to the back of Feeney. Does have the DRS to defend to Mr. Miller behind him. As Mr. Miller sets another fastest lap. And he's sitting in that P3 position. looking to put the pressure on the Mercedes in front of him. SP Jabor sitting in P4 with the Williams car. Now making his way through turn 4 and 5. Comacopa trying to defend off Natural, Javoonster, and LB the GOAT as they're making their way off the exit of 5 into the braking zone of turn 6. The Ferrari teammates down at the bottom of the grid there of P15 and 17. They can potentially use the DRS to continue swapping to try and close up the gap to Matthew in front of them. Bongett still has the pressure on Raptor KK as we're making our way through turn 10. Bongett is hanging on, still has quite a bit of battery left as we're making our way into turn 12 through sector 2. We're going to jump back up to the front here as Mr. Miller, Feeney, and SP are battling for the lead off the exit of turn 16. Silos not getting a good exit off of 16. He's pretty low on battery. So isn't Feeney. Mr. Miller still conserving. So isn't SP. So you got P3 and 4 conserving on their batteries down into turn 1. And it looks like Comacopa is going to try and defend off the attack from the Alpine, but the Sauber wants to get himself into the picture here through turn 2. Going to make our way off the exit of 3. Now back up the hill. Comacopa goes a little wide off of turn 3. Coming through turn 4 and 5. Now we're going to carry through turn 6. Down into turn 10, the Sauber of Boomster is still all over that rear diffuser of Natural, sniffing that exhaust as we're making our way into the triple right-hander here. Boomster was peeking down to the inside. Natural is going to hang on into that P6 position. Silos has closed up the gap to the back of Feeney, much closer here. Off the exit of turn 16, gets a little bit of an oversteer. Has the DRS wide open. He is burning that battery as much as possible. He's going to be looking to go down the inside. SP down through the inside of Mr. Miller. And here comes SP looking down to the inside of Jay Feeney. And he's not going to be far enough alongside. And it looks like it's going to be your new leader of Silos. 4-car train battling for the lead so far on lap 7. Comacopa does defend off to Boomster and Natural down into turn 1 as they're making their way up into turn 4 and 5. Bongett does get by his teammate of Osmanian Devil. Peak hour is around the outside of IRZ into turn 4. On board with Comacopa here, and it looks like LB the GOAT's going to go side by side with Natural into turn 7. And who's going to hang on here? Is it going to be, it looks like the Alpine of Natural is hanging on to that P7 spot. The side-by-side battling through the corner has back Natural outside of DRS for the time being. Mr. Miller hanging on in that P4 position. He's still got quite a bit of battery. Feeney with a 3-second time penalty. Mr. Miller with a 3-second time penalty. SP still sitting at about 70% battery life here into turn 16. Off the exit we go. We got the DRS flaps wide open. Silos looking to defend off Feeney. Down the long start, finish straight, and Feeney is going to get back in front relatively easy. No problem whatsoever. The Boomster down to the inside of Comacopa, and it looks like he's going to back himself out of that. And we're still side by side going into turn 6. Or turn 2, my apologies, and it looks like Comacopa is going to defend him off once again. But LB the GOAT wants to get in on this, so doesn't the Natural. Natural looking down to the inside of turn 4. Not far enough alongside to get there. Off the exit of 5. Into the hairpin of turn 6. No moves down into the inside. And it looks like Comacopa's got the defense. Natural gets a little bit of a wheel spin. Here comes LB the GOAT. Not able to take advantage of that. But Bonget and Osmanian Devil have both creeped themselves back into the picture here of the DRS. Raptor KK here still battling alongside that Mercedes of Antonio. And off the exit of, we're into turn 12, 13, and 14. A lot of time penalties already coming on lap 8. That will be typical here at Qatar. It's all going to be about keeping it within the track limit. Silos uses a lot of the inside curb in turn 15. SP is looking to pounce on him. They got the DRS flaps wide open. Silos down to the inside. SP is going to go right through the middle. And it looks like he was going to attempt a move around the outside, but he did not get that done. De Boonster was able to get by Comacopa. LB the Goat and Natural battling side by side through turn 1. Now still side by side into turn 2. And they still want to go through 3. Nearly touching each other there up into turn 4. And we're still going side by side between the two, the Alpine and the Red Bull. Side by side off the exit of 5. Down into the hairpin of turn 6. Is LB the Goat looking for an attempted switchback there off of turn 6. And he may have gotten it. And yes, he does. LB the Goat jumps into that P7 position. All that battling, though, has lost him the DRS to Comacopa in front. So now Comacopa is going to be looking to hang on to the rear diffuser of De Boonster. Back up to the front. Still a 4-car battle here in the front. You got Silos, SP, Feeney, and Mr. Miller all within a second of each other. Into turn 16, Bonget with a 3-second time penalty. Now making our way down the start-finish straight once again. SP, is he going to be close enough to attempt a move down into turn 1? Using the DRS to defend off of Feeney. Feeney's looking for a double overtake down into turn 1. A little bit of contact in turn 1. And Feeney still side by side into 2. And it looks like it's going to be SP coming out on top here. New race leader. Your 3rd race leader here at Qatar so far. Mr. Miller just hanging out in the back here, conserving his battery, letting these guys battle it out. Eventually, at some point, he is going to be looking to overtake Silos, who's nearly 50% battery here. Comacopa does get by De Boonster. Natural here looking to compete with LB the Goat. He's looking for a little bit of payback from that switchback down in turn 6, off the exit of 6 on the previous lap of lap 9. Feeney's still hanging on to the back of Jabor, and it looks like Patty Cake is going to get by GC Adventure. Pit stops have already started. Let me get rid of the tires here. Biggest movers so far, you got SP up 5, LB the Goat up 4. As we're making our way off the final corner here, Feeney's got DRS, Silos got DRS, Mr. Miller's got DRS. Here comes Feeney closing up to the back, down to the inside. No defense from SP there into turn 1. Silos and Mr. Miller are going to hang on nice and tight right behind them. We're already on lap 11 and we've gotten a lead change almost every single lap. De Boonster is all over that rear diffuser of Comacopa here. LB the Goat has gotten himself back into that picture. Osmanian Devil's trying to close up to the back of them. As we're into the heavy braking zone of turn 6, the Alpine right behind him of Natural nearly gets into the back of him. Bonget hanging on inside the top 10. Peak Hour and TMM Racing are battling in the back as well. It looks like Peak Hour was able to get by him. Making our way through turn 10, back up the hill into the triple right-hander of 12, 13, and 14. SP and CeeLo staying within the track limit to this time so far. On lap 11, getting ready to come off the exit of turn 16 to begin lap 12. SP goes a little wide off the exit. Not sure if he does get a warning for that. is burning battery. He's going to go right down to the inside. And here comes Silos using that toe as well to close up that gap. The Boonster down to the inside of Comacopa. LB the Goat is going to follow the toe there. Natural down to the inside of Osmanian Devil into turn 1. Still side by side through turn 1. And it looks like Natural is going to get ahead of Osmanian Devil. Making our way down into the hairpin of turn 6 we go. Off the exit, heading back up into 7, 3-second time penalty for TMM Racing. Still a 4-car battle here at the front of the grid. Comacopa trying to hang on to the back of the Boomster, goes a little wide there. He loses the DRS, but LB the Goat is now putting the pressure on Comacopa. GC Adventure, 10-second penalty for speeding into the pit lane. Off the exit of the final corner, SP dives in, Silos dives in. Give Feeney that lead once again. Mr. Miller is going to have DRS. So doesn't Feeney though. That'll be the Goat down to the inside of Comacopa into turn 1. Still side by side, and looks like LB the Goat's going to jump into that P4 position, but Comacopa doesn't want to let him through easily. Peeking down to the inside of turn 2. Off the exit of 3. Making our way up into turn 4 and 5. Mr. Miller closed right back up to the back of Feeney here. As we're heading through turn 7. Jump on board with Peak Hour as he makes his way through Antonio here down into turn 1. So we already got some folks all diving into pit lane. Feeney hanging on to the lead, but he does have a time penalty. Your provisional leader is going to be Silos or SP as they are battling, and I wonder what happened there. Looked like SP may have gone around off of turn 7. Not exactly sure what that may have caused, but now Silos is your provisional leader here. 10-second penalty for Feeney speeding into pit lane. Very unfortunate. That is going to really hurt him by the end of the Grand Prix. Let's see where Silos comes out. Is he going to get the undercut? Everybody else jumps into pit lane, all looking to get off their medium tire compound. And here comes SP down the start-finish straight. Back up the grid order he goes, and he does not get out in front of Feeney. Barely makes it out front of Mr. Miller there in that P4 position. Bong it out front in the McLaren down through turn 6. All by himself. As we make our way through Sector 1 into the start of Sector 2, we're down to a 3-car battle up in the front. Silos needs to get within a second of Feeney here. He's now under a second into the entrance of turn 7. Off the exit of turn 10, he's still holding within a second, just barely. Making our way into the triple right-hander here. Everybody has just about pit. Let's get a tire update here. Everybody swapped over to the hard tires. GC Adventure on a set of softs. VPR Chef on a set of mediums, looking to do a 2-stop here. Matthew and Bonnet are still the only 2 drivers that need to pit. Patty Cake with a 3-second time penalty. Silos is going to get the DRS. Yes, he does. And it looks like Bonnet has gone into pit lane to get off his medium tires. Silos wanted to get out of the tow real quick. SP 5 seconds back now of Mr. Miller. The Boonster is sitting in that P5 position. We're nearly halfway through already. Now into the hairpin of turn 6 off the exit. Silos in the Mercedes hanging on to the Haas with the Alpine right behind him. The Boonster's looking to close up to the back of SP there in that Williams. Osmanian Devil with his teammate P8 and 9. Natural hanging on in that P10 position. Still got DRS on the two McLaren boys in front of him. Now we're making our way through turn 10. Off the exit we go. Heading up the hill into the triple right-handed apex here of 12, 13, and 14. Antonio with a 3-second time penalty. Gonna jump back up to the front. Silos closed up to the back of the Haas in front of him, and he now takes over the lead on lap 16. That'll be the GOAT with the fastest lap of a 126 flat on lap 16 as well. That'll be the GOAT side by side with the Boonster as we're making our way through turn 1. Looking to hang it around the outside of turn 2. He's gonna slot right back behind the kickstart Sauber in front of him. Back up the hill into 4 and 5. Osmanian Devil sitting in that P8 position. Closed up to the back of Copa within a second of him. Natural sitting right behind him, 3/10 back. Bonget is also in the picture as well as Antonio and Peak Hour. And it looks like Bonget made a slight mistake there off the exit of turn 6. Does keep the car facing forward, and he's going to continue on trucking along. Right now, Silos just needs to keep it within the track limits here for the final 13 laps as we're making our way off the exit of 15 into the final corner. Coming across the line for 13 laps to go. Feeney is going to get the DRS to Silos in front of him. Silos really out of battery. Here goes Feeney around the outside. Silos with the fastest lap of a 125.7. And that will be the GOAT makes the move on to Boonster. Osmanian Devil dives up into that P7 position. Was able to get by Copa. Now he's going to be putting on that charge to catch up to the back of the Boonster in that kickstart Sauber. That'll be the GOAT as they're both trying to chase down SP in front of them for that P4 position. SP's not really losing any time to the leaders in front of them. Feeney's almost broken out of DRS here of the two cars in front of it, behind him. As we're now making our way up into turn 12 and just barely hanging on to that DRS. Off the exit of 13, now 14, heading towards the penultimate corner, and he's going to keep it within DRS. He does get the DRS down the start-finish straight. He's going to use it to defend off Mr. Miller. Making our way off the exit of 16, down the start-finish straight, opens up that rear DRS flap. He's now going to be able to close up to the back of Feeney in front of him. Feeney with the fastest lap of a 125.3. Mr. Miller still sitting in that P3 position. Copa does get by Osmanian Devil around the outside into turn 1, but Osmanian Devil's looking to hang it around the outside of turn 2. And he's not going to get by. He's going to continue to follow along here. Heading back up into 7. Boomster's still hanging on to that Red Bull in front of him. They got SP 5.4 seconds back from Mr. Miller. Mr. Miller 2.5 tenths off of CeeLo. CeeLo's still 7 tenths off of Feeney here as they're making their way towards the final corner to give us 11 laps to go. And it looks like we had a Visa Cash App Red Bull may have gone around. And it looks like Mr. Miller made a huge mistake off the exit of turn 16, natural with a 3-second time penalty. And CeeLo's down to the inside of Feeney, and he's going to take over the lead with 11 laps to go. Into turn 2, CeeLo's defends the inside line. Still a battle for the lead here. And the Visa Cash App Red Bull parks the car to the inside, gets out of the way. Mr. Miller's looking to close up to the back of that V-carb. Still a battle for the lead here. We got Raptor and Patty Cake battling side by side through turn 1, and it looks like Patty Cake is going to come out on top there. IRZ just chilling along, and Bonget has caught back up to Peak Hour and Antonio in front of him. Osmanian Devil all over Comacopa, still putting the pressure on him. Feeney 2.5 tenths off the back. He is conserving all of his batteries. CeeLo is pretty low on battery still, about 30% off the exit of the final corner. CeeLo goes down to the inside to break the toe. Feeney's going to go around the outside, and CeeLo's going to slot right back behind him here into turn 1. SP is hoping for a mistake, so isn't Mr. Miller. Side by side between the Kickstart Sauber and the Red Bull. Of the Goat and the Boomster. Osmanian Devil down to the inside of Comacopa, and he jumps back up into that P7 position. Looks like LB the Goat is going to take P5. He puts himself inside the top 5. Natural hanging on to the back of the folks in front of him. We got Antonio a little wide there off the exit of 3. Bonget hanging on to the back of him as well. Into turn 7, and Comacopa still sitting in that P8 position. He started, I believe it was P3, and has unfortunately fallen down 5 spots here on the start of the Grand Prix. Going up to the front as we're making our way towards the final corner one more time here. CeeLo still hanging on, 7 tenths of a second back. Off the exit we go. Gonna have that DRS to Feeney in front of him. And CeeLo's closed up to the back, down to the inside, into turn 1. We're side by side between your 2 leaders of the Haas and the Mercedes. Now side by side through turn 2. Another 3-second time penalty for Antonio. Still side by side between the Mercedes and the Haas, and it looks like the Haas is going to defend it off. That did allow Mr. Miller to close up a full second to the back of CeeLo's here. He's now about 2 seconds back. SP sitting 2.7 off the back of Mr. Miller. The Boomster and LB the Goat did swap positions on the last lap as well. It looks like the Boomster inside the top 5 with the Goat behind him. Comacopa still defending off Osmanian Devil, sitting in that P7 position. Osmanian trying to hang on and look to make a move at the right time. CeeLo needs to conserve his battery. And it looks like Feeney has a lot more than he does as we make our way off the final corner. Heading down across the start-finish line, we got about 8 laps to go. into turn 1. Silos is not going to be close enough to make a move. Chef with a 3-second time penalty. Jump back down. LB the GOAT is going to hang on. Here goes Osmanian Devil down to the inside of Komakopa, and he's going to get in front of him going into turn 1. And it looks like Osmanian Devil is now up into that P7 position. No time penalties for him up to this time. Komakopa right behind as well with no time penalties as well. And then you got Natural sitting back. And it looks like Patty Cake dives into pit lane. The Boonster all over that rear diffuser of SP Jabor. SP must have made a big mistake because that allowed the Boonster to close up to the back of him. Now off the exit of turn 10, and it looks like the Boonster got a great run around the outside. Jumping into that P4 position, 3 wide through turn 11 between Boonster, LB the GOAT, and SP into the triple right hander 12, 13, and 14 back up to the front. Silos is going to have DRS once again here on Feeney as we're making our way down the start-finish straight. Not going to have enough battery though to close up to the back of him into turn 1. Mr. Miller here sitting 2.5 seconds back from the leaders. LB the GOAT closing up to the back of Boonster. Osmanian Devil is looking to defend off Komakopa down into turn 1. Komakopa through the inside. And he's going to take that P7 position away. They're going to be putting their sights on SP, who's nets in the Williams. They have closed up nearly a half a second since they've come across the line. And Silos versus Feeney here, making our way through turn 7. Now 9 down into turn 10 we go. Looking for some battles here. We got Osmanian Devil, Natural, and Komakopa. Bongit is looking to try and close up to the back of him. He's 2.1 seconds back for the time being. GC Adventure with a 3-second time penalty. Patty Cake makes it by Matthew on a new set of medium tires as well. So Patty Cake still has quite a bit of work to do if he wants to get back inside the top 10. Potentially not enough time to do so. And it looks like Silos down through the inside of Feeney. And Silos is going to take the lead. Feeney has been conserving. He has 100% battery. LB the GOAT closed right up to the back of Boonster, but did not want to make that move into turn 1. Going to continue to follow along in that P4 position. Mr. Miller down to 1.7 seconds back. Looking at his batteries, about 50% at the time being. Into the hairpin we go. Off the exit, you still got your 2 leaders up here battling, swapping positions almost every single lap. Through turn 9, down into 10. Making our way up the hill towards turn 11. And we got a spin in the back, and that is Natural that has gone around. Very unfortunate for him. He's dropping through the field down into 12th place. Got to get that car going. IRZ's going to overtake him as well. Silos conserving the battery across the start-finish line to start lap 25. Making our way down into turn 1 we go. The Haas Feeney gets around the outside and he regains the lead. LB the GOAT with the DRS on to Boonster in front of him. He's not burning any battery. He's going to continue to follow along. Osmanian Devil closed right up to the back of Komakopa. Was not able to get close enough down into turn 1. He's going to continue to follow along nearly 3/10 back. Silos still fighting for the lead with Feeney. Just looking to hang on here. Feeney does have, I believe, 13 seconds in time penalties. Just pull it up real quick. Yes, he does. That's all your time penalties real quick. Get rid of these now. Making our way off of 10. 6.5 tenths back for the lead. Silos would love to win this on the circuit. That'll be the GOAT. Still sitting in that P5 position. Half a second off of DeBoonster. Osmanian Devil hanging on to the back of Comacopa as much as he can here. Inside the top 8, so a good result for Osmanian Devil. Mr. Miller, where did this... Whoa, Mr. Miller was like 1.8 seconds back a few laps ago. And now he's closed right up to the back of Feeney and... Silos here. So now we got a 3-car race to the end. Lap 26 of 29. Boonster's not able to make a move. Osmanian Devil around the outside of the Aston Martin in Comacopa. 10-second penalty, ignoring the yellow flag for DeBoonster. Not sure how that happened. Oh, he probably overtook in a yellow flag sector. Very unfortunate for him. Looks like Osmanian Devil into P7. Was able to complete the move on the Aston Martin of Comacopa. Mr. Miller has put himself into this picture here to race to the end between the top 3. Mr. Miller has conserved that battery. Silo's starting to conserve as well. Down into turn 15, Raptor KK with another 3-second time penalty. Into the final corner. Beginning lap 27 of 29. And Silos is burning that battery. Down into turn 1 we go. He's going to look to go around the outside, but Feeney does defend the inside line. And here comes Silos. He does get a nice little switchback and is able to complete the move on Feeney here for that for the P1 position. As we're making our way off of 3, up the hill into 4. Antonio completes the move on peak hour down through the inside into turn 1, so he's going to put himself inside the top 10. As we're making our way through Sector 2. Now through the triple right-handed apex of 12, 13, and 14. Silos hanging on to the lead for the time being, getting ready to start the penultimate lap here as we're making our way off the final corner. And here comes Mr. Miller as well. Conserved enough battery. Feeney's conserved enough battery. Feeney's closed up to the back of Silos. And he's going to go around the outside. Mr. Miller's not going to be close enough to make a move. On the penultimate lap we begin. DeBoonster hanging on to that P4 position, defending off an LB the GOAT. Comacopa, is he going to be able to close up to the back? No, he's not. Osmanian Devil still in that P7 position. Mr. Miller's all over that rear diffuser of Silos here as we're making our way off the hairpin of turn 6, heading up the hill into 7. Now into the triple right-hander, 6 tenths back in Silos. Is he conserved the battery enough? Feeney's got 67%. Silos is at about 50%. Is this going to be enough to take over the lead off the exit of 16? DRS flap getting ready to open wide up. Here we come. Silos, Mr. Miller, and Feeney. 3-car train. Silos closing up to the back of Feeney. Almost out of battery. Down into the inside. Not going to be able to make it. But he forces Feeney to go a little bit wide. Gets some oversteer through turn 1. Is he going to be able to peek down to the inside of turn 2? No, he's not. He's going to continue to follow along. Here comes Mr. Miller, though. He's still hanging on to the back of these two. Off the exit of turn 5. Is Silos going to be able to get close enough to maybe make a move down to the inside of the hairpin? No. Feeney's going to hang on for the time being, but he does have a 13 seconds in time penalty. 10 seconds from speeding into pit lane. 3-second track limit penalty as well. Making our way through Sector 2 through Turn 10. Silos still trying to fight with Feeney. Bong it does get by Komakopa down. Oh, Komakopa makes a big mistake. Back up to the front to your 2 leaders. Feeney versus Silos on the final lap with Mr. Miller trailing him behind as well. Heading into the final corner. And it looks like Feeney's going to get a good exit. Yes, he does. And we're heading towards the start-finish line. And it looks like Feeney's going to take the race win on circuit. But Silos will take the victory by time penalty. Mr. Miller in second. Off the exit of the final corner. De Boonster and LB the GOAT. SP up into a podium position as well. Osmanian jumps into that P6 position. Komakopa, what happened there? Oh no, all he had to do was just get across to the line and unfortunately lost the car off the exit of turn 16 and goes to the inside wall. Very unfortunate for Komakopa there. IRZ takes the top 10. Natural is going to come across the line in that P12 position. Here comes Raptor off the exit of the final corner and he's going to make his way for the P13. Patty Cake coming across for P14. VPR Chef is going to come across in that P18 position. And there you have it, folks. Well, there you have it, folks. There is your finishing position. Silos with his first victory of the season, if I remember correctly. And then you got Mr. Miller and then Feeney. Spray that champagne and celebrate. So you're, oh no, there's SP on the podium, my apologies. So you got Silos, Mr. Miller, SP, Feeney, and LB the GOAT, your top 5. Osmanian Devil, De Boonster, Bong It, Peak Hour, and IRZ inside the top 10. Antonio Natural, Raptor, Patty Cake, and Komakopa all the way to 15th. Matthew TMM, VPR Chef, GC Adventure, and Abdul will round out your grid. Let me pull up the calendar for the next week. Alright folks, so July 15th you will see the Pro Tier taking on the wonderful street circuit of Saudi Arabia in Jeddah. It will be another 50 or short qualifying 50% Grand Prix. They will be live at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And on Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, you will see the Elite Tier take on Qatar as well. In the meantime, I'm the Johnny Damon. It's been a pleasure. Congratulations to your top 3 drivers. I look forward to seeing you all back here next week at 9 p.m. at Jeddah. Have a great night, folks.